or should I say bon dia. I'm in Lisbon. It's the city of 7 hills, but it seems like there's quite a lot more than that. Luckily, we're just going down one right now. 48 hours, and I'm going to eat lots of nice things.
Something to avoid in Lisbon is trams, in my opinion, but that's only because my dad got pickpocketed on one about 13 years ago and some Portuguese fella was able to enjoy our holiday photos far more than we ever could. Somewhere not to avoid is Taberna de Rua das Flores, and if you can excuse my pronunciation, I'll tell you why. It's an establishment putting its own little flair on the criminally underrated cuisine that belongs to Portugal. It feels like a traditional spot, but scallops are served with brown butter and seaweed, perfect for bready dipping.
It's not bad.
Prawns come with a coconutty topping and a curry-esque saucing. Pica-pau, a Lisbon staple of veal cooked in white wine and garlic and mustard, with an ever-present humming backing track of bay leaf, was adorned crispily with pork fat crackers and pickles, and was the star of the show. Another place was this cherry liqueur bar, perfect for if you're after a nice shot of cherry liqueur on a sunny Tuesday afternoon. For some reason, after a few beers up the top of one of the hills of Lisbon, a failed attempt at getting a walk-in spot at the Sea Tavern, which came highly recommended, and a mildly disappointing bafana and crisps, we ended up at this izakaya spot. The food was pretty good, but actually it wasn't really what we came for. Sorry about this pronunciation, but these pão de queijo cheese balls of Brazilian descent were a lot more like it. Jobim was the spot. Black Sheep is another place for drinks. Wine experts with the kind of wine that'll make you feel fine. Here's me listening and learning. The next day called for a hungry hangover hunt for bafana, the Portuguese pork sandwich, but I'm going to do a separate video about that quest, so much like a well-used glockenspiel, you must stay tuned. O Palmeiral is an Italian-Portuguese mashup eatery, which I will describe as really a nice place for a bit of dinner. It was a little gusty, so we sat inside and took on some tortellini and broth and cold prawns with house-made mayo and delectable piri-piri.
That's fucking nice.
The aubergine palm was delicious, the best I've ever had, though I don't usually order it. A pork chop caked in coriander and fennel seeds went down intensely well. Sides of spuds, tomatoes and mushrooms flew down too, and finally a tiramisu. Though stuffed to the brim after an incredibly reasonably priced and delicious meal, and fit to burst like a Portuguese pork balloon, when walking past a restaurant called Cosmo, the lovely chef, whose name was Rafa, invited us in for a few small bites, and we sat and discussed fire-based cookery while sipping on tremendous cocktails and taking down smoked oysters and some fantastic lamb belly skewers with a pistachio ducker. The best pastel de nata we had is probably the only one worth discussing when one is limited on time, and that was down a small side street at Alfama Dolce, where Yucal chocolate milk was my chosen beverage, as it usually is. If it's sweet treats you freaks seek, look no further. Finally, it was piri-piri o'clock. My mate recommended zabir, which is piri-piri with a bit of a twist. The sauces that came with it really made it for me, and both the actual chicken and the chips were cooked with the love and care that one would usually only reserve for raising their own child. Herby mayo and spicy green chutney sauce tied it all together. Condiment glue. That was my Lisbon hotspots. Thanks for tuning in.